Hi guys, today I am doing my most disappointing books of 2020. Unfortunately, I feel like if I'm gonna do a favourite books, I'm gonna have to do a disappointing books, and I did have, unfortunately, a few books that just didn't cut it for me. I don't want to say books I hated or anything like that, because it's not fair. Authors have, you know, put their time and effort into creating something, and if it's not for me, it's not for me. I can't love everything, so I don't want this to come from a place of disrespect. I might still get passionate about feelings just because things infuriate me, and we're all human and things do annoy people, but please, you know, if this is your favourite book that I'm mentioning, please don't take it to heart. If for some reason author stumbles on this is just, you know, hopefully as a constructive criticism. I mean, no disrespect, you're all amazing in your own kind of fields, you know, you've got your own core fan base. These books just weren't for me for whatever reasons that I'll get into. So the first book, and it's actually one I feel really bad about because this author's so nice. We talk here and there on Instagram, and he offered me his first book. I didn't like it very much, and then he wanted to try again with his sequel, and unfortunately I still wasn't person to read this, you know, and I gave it a 1 star, and that is Pedigree Penitentiary by Navilius Jordan, which is second in his series called the Wolven Scholar series, and it's kind of marketed as sort of like Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. So it's like a magical group of kids with these superpowers and stuff, and basically trying to destroy evil or bad doers, things like that. I read this one in March, and yeah, unfortunately it's just not for me. I do find the writing style is a bit too overdone in a way that I kind of get lost and I don't understand what I'm reading anymore, and coming from a point of view of teenagers talking, it doesn't sound very believable, and a lot of stuff just seemed unnecessarily gory and shock, if that makes sense. I feel like the sequel did definitely, I feel like he took on some things that I said, because he was really engaging when I was telling him my thoughts for the first book, and I was so nervous because, oh my god, like talking to someone and saying how much I don't like their book, I feel really bad. But he took a lot of what I said on board, cut out some of the sort of nonsense language in terms of the over descriptions, all these big words that just seemed a bit too pretentious. Yeah, so he took on some note, but which I'm really grateful for, and maybe that's, I'm not the only one that thought these things, I don't know, but it's still not a book for me, so I won't be carrying on with the series, I don't think, but thank you anyway, I do appreciate it. I'm sure quite a few people have enjoyed this, so check it out if you like Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children, and that sort of vibe, and you want more like magical kid stories. But this is a darker one. Could be quite gruesome and explicit, I guess is the right word. The next one is funny because I've continued on with this series, and that is Dorothy Must Die by Danielle Page, and I read this in April, and I gave this a 3 out of 5 stars, which for me that's actually a good rating. I enjoyed it, it was okay, but I think it's on my disappointing list because I was a bit disappointed in this. I thought it would be more like gun-ho. There was just something about it that felt too like basic. I don't know what other way to describe it as. I really loved the plot. I really loved like the idea, the concept of going back to Oz, or a new character going to Oz, and that Dorothy is evil and needs to be like eradicated, but it just didn't feel as like, yeah, let's get going, let's do this. Amy Gum, the main character, kind of annoyed me. She just seemed really whingy, and again, I don't know if it's just because I'm getting older now, but I find when I read about some like teenagers, I just feel like either the author as an older person or whatever isn't getting into the headspace properly and just getting them across as annoying, or maybe teenagers are just annoying, I don't know, sorry. But the teenagers that I'm reading about in this book, it irritated me. In the last book it wasn't believable, so it's just, I can't, maybe I'm just getting old, I don't know. But it's funny because I have continued with the sequel, and I've recently just got a collection of the short stories, which I'm excited to get to. But it was just, for a first book, although it generally captured my interest, it was one that was a bit slow to get through. I was a bit annoyed and I was like, why isn't it like gripping? The concept is there and I'm excited to see where it goes, but the first book just wasn't it for me. So there's my thoughts on that. The next one, it's a long title, so I'm gonna have to look down because I can't remember all those words in my head at once. But it is The Power of Three, the novel of a wow, a woman and an alien child by Kathy Parker. I read this in April as well and I gave it a 2 out of 5 stars, and this is one that I read through NetGalley. I think quite a few of these later are through NetGalley. This is, yeah, as you can see through NetGalley, I tend to be a little bit more experimental because I'm not really losing anything. Like, I've not paid money to not like a book, but then at the same time I feel bad because it's like going, well, all reviews go to the authors in some way, don't it? I mean, not necessarily they're going to read it, but I do feel like bad when I've got a book for free, like an ebook for free, and then I don't like the book. And also, it's just, you know, a waste of my life, and I feel bad wasting my life reading books that I don't enjoy. But how am I going to know if I don't read it? Do you know what I mean? Anyway, this one is, I don't even know, I feel like this might even be called speculative fiction, which is, if you saw my last video, a term that I don't really understand but I feel like kind of works for this. Yeah, a bit bizarro in a way. I don't know, it almost like it's trying to be literary fiction, but it didn't really make sense. It is about this alien that comes to Earth, and kind of its consciousness goes into this woman who is a lawyer, but she part-time volunteers at this like sea life centre, and then another alien, no, something happens to a whale and they're trying to get this alien to go back, but she's also trying to save the whale because the consciousness is not in there because she's got the whale. I don't really know. I don't mean to make it sound like that, but it's just it was a confusing experience. There is a sequel I definitely will not be reading, unfortunately. Yeah, it's look it up because I'm probably not doing the synopsis justice, but I didn't get it. Nah, it wasn't for me. Okay, in July I picked up my first Toni Morrison, okay, please don't hate me, and that was Sula. I gave this one a 3 out of 5 and I liked it. I've got a whole reading vlog on this, so I'll try not to talk too much about it, but basically I think I really wanted to read The Bluest Eye and I wanted that to be my first Toni Morrison book, but I couldn't get hold of it, so in my head I already had that as if like, oh well, okay. But then this also wasn't what I sort of hoped it would be. I thought it would be a bit more magical, but I don't know if that was just my own interpretation gone wild. I liked it, it had some interesting themes, it's quite disturbing as well, but I don't know, I think it's because I didn't know what to expect and I got kind of like a weird story and a weird vibe, and it maybe wasn't what I wanted at that time, so maybe on a different reading I would like this a lot more. But I think for my first Toni Morrison book I'm excited to read others by her, but this one wasn't kind of what I was hoping it would be to draw me into the author's work, if that makes sense. But 3 stars for me. I must say I still enjoyed it. It is still a good rating. It's just not what I was expecting and left me feeling a little bit weird afterwards because I was like, okay, this isn't the vibe that I thought it was going for. Okay, and then I've got like a little comic that I got through NetGalley called The Wizard Volume 1 and the Potion of Dreams by Michael Sweater and Rachel Dukes, which I gave a 2.5 out of 5. I read this in August. This one is like a little adventure quest story about, I think this warrior princess wants to be as strong as her family, and so they go on this quest to try and find this wizard that can help. It was just like, it's something that's been done before. I like the illustration and the art style, and it was very busy, so it was fun to look all over the page and stuff, but it was okay. Like, I wouldn't continue with it. It was just something that's been done many times before, sort of thing, you know. And then I read Moonbath, Bathing Rituals and Recipes for Relaxation and Vitality by Dakota Hills, which I gave a 2 out of 5 stars. Also read that in August. It just wasn't, it was very repetitive, and I thought this could be quite a beautiful book with those witchy vibes, you know, with lots of different ideas and just more substance, but really it was quite, well, as I just said, the irony, repetitive, and just dull, bland. I feel like they could have made a lot more use of the page and like art and stuff like that, and it just was a bit blah for me. And then this one, oh my god, this next book I really disliked. I don't even really want to talk about it too much because it kind of makes me angry and I hate feeling this way. But that was Corrupted Humans by Donald Friedman, which I gave a 1 star. I read this in September and I don't even know. Maybe go to my September wrap up if you want to know more thoughts on it, because right now I can't even get into the headspace to talk about it. I don't even know how to describe the synopsis. I don't even know what the point of it was. Like, I didn't like it. It's another one that I felt like was supposed to be literary fiction and it just went over my head and just annoyed me. It was a very irritating reading experience. It's one of those books where I thought I could DNF this, but I struggled to DNF stuff. But that was one of those experiences, those very rare experiences where like I was like, what is the point of reading this? Why am I doing this to myself? Next, also in September, I read Ever After by Olivia Vueg. This one I gave a 2 out of 5 stars. Again, it's just it was a comic book and it was just one of those things that was done before. There wasn't anything really new that came to it, anything new to the genre. It's like a zombie apocalypse story. Yeah, there's not really much to it, honestly. It was fun, quick reading for when I was bussing around, but it wasn't anything like, it's not really stuck in my head. It's not anything major, if you know what I mean. Another one that I read through NetGalley as well, which I read in October, was Winter, White and Wicked by Shannon Ditmore. And this one I gave a 2 out of 5 stars. Oh my god, this took me forever to read. I was reading it as my lunchtime read at work and it took me forever. I had to start reading it in the evenings, which I didn't want to because I wanted my evenings to read something that I was enjoying. But this, again, it wasn't, I don't know, I think it was described as Mad Max meets Frozen, and that sounded like an interesting blend to me, but really what I got was just like a trucking kind of adventure story. It's fantasy. There's this like power within our main character that she's just discovering and stuff, and it just, there's some bits I liked, some bits I enjoyed, but I'm just not into like long haul trucking books, I guess, and that's what it kind of felt like, with a bit of magic and a bit of romance and self-discovery. But it really just wasn't for me. Like, I didn't enjoy it, unfortunately. I thought I would, obviously, that's why I wanted to read it, but nah, it wasn't for me in the long run. And the last 2 books here are both from November reading. Oh no, that's a lie, the last one is December. I'm gonna like just correct that. Oh, I hate crossing stuff out in my book. I feel like I should get Tipp-Ex or something. I haven't used Tipp-Ex since I was at school. Oh my god, that smell, that signature smell, that is taking me back. Anyway, the next book I read in November, and was, again, this one I kind of thought that I wouldn't really like, but I wanted to read it anyway as like part of a challenge that I was doing for the Clay Your Shit-a-thon, but also because it was on my shelf and I do eventually would like to read all the books that I own, even if I end up unhauling them eventually. But I just feel like in my head I have to read them all. Gotta catch them all, have to read them all, Pokemon. That is Me and Elle and the Dying Girl by Jessie Andrews. This one I literally just talked about. Why have I written November when I read these both in December? I don't know what's wrong with me. It makes me wonder if I read the other things in the months that I said I did. I don't know. But yeah, okay, these are both from December. This one here I kind of thought I wasn't going to like, and I talked about it in my December wrap up, so I won't go into too much depth. I gave it a 2 out of 5. It just wasn't for me. It just seemed really insensitive, and again, another book where I was like, I don't get what the point is. And this one I'm really upset about. I was disappointed because I thought I would love it. It's about mythology, and I love mythology and learning different things that I might not have known, and it just wasn't for me. I gave this one a 2 out of 5 stars, and that is The Gospel of Loki by Joanne M. Harris. If you want to know more about that, again, that wrap up was a video previously. So yeah, this has left me in such a funky mood now. Let me know if you've read any of these books, what you thought about them. Again, as I said in the beginning, this is no means to like bash an author, to bash your favourite book or anything. I just, you know, reviews are reviews. You guys get my tastes when I talk about books I love, so equally you can see my taste when I talk about books that I don't love, or for example, books that I'm shocked that I didn't love, because I generally have a good track record enjoying mythology kind of stories, you know. So let me know what your most disappointing read for 2020 was. Was it something you had really high hopes, like was it a 5-star prediction, or was it something you went into not really knowing anything and didn't really get anything out of it, as I've had like a mixture of sort of both in this list here. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I'll speak to you in another video soon. Bye.